Nikki, get 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Okay. My name is Nikki Hamhill. I'm a proud member of the board of directors, and actually I've been vice president for 3 years. And I'm the only female board member. How's that? Out of 15 absolutely wonderful men. And do you think for 5 minutes I can say 2 seconds I could give them trouble? Not a chance. Not one chance. I couldn't hurt one of those 14 handsome devils if I had to. So when I was told I had to say something, it's not going to be about Don. Got that?
Got it.
Got it. But that doesn't mean I can't rip up his friends. Okay? You have to? Okay. Well, there's this one friend that I'm going to take out. All right. He thinks he's really big stuff. Let me get my notes or I'm in trouble. Right, Don?
Right.
Nick?
Right, Nick.
Okay.
Get him.
This one friend is kind of a friend of mine. I mean, what can you say? He meets me to eat in Cary, Indiana, for God's sake, the crime capital of the world. His name is John Mitchler. You all know John Mitchler, don't you? John Mitchler, he's a really good guy. He's a newsletter editor. He's a recipient of I don't know how many Frank Ashley Awards. 7 or 8 of them, probably. He's got the Vin, the coveted Vin Holmes. And now he's got the most coveted of all, the Jack Longacre Award. He thinks he's really hot stuff, doesn't he? Yeah, well, I got dirt. Don't I, Don?
Right, Nick.
John's no longer a board member, so he's open game. Okay. Only 2 people alive have that Jack Longacre Award. It's this handsome devil right here and John Mitchler. Did you know that John Mitchler hosted the Illinois Convention in 2003? Yes. That was a big convention.
How big?
Very big. I'll tell you, and I'll get to that big convention. John states that Illinois had the highest attendance of all conventions. Therefore, hang on, honey, I'll be right back. We've got to, of course, make John the king. Is that right? He's the king. So he's the king of conventions. I mean, what better can we do? You have to understand, Illinois is the center of the earth. Here, the world. It's a geographical center. So anything in the middle is going to have more people in it than anywhere. So John claims he's got 300 plus conventions. 800. Right, sweet 100. 300 plus. That's what I heard. Needless to say, I'm on the crew. Actually, I kind of founded it. John, let me count that year. I got something to say about that. I read this newsletter, John, and I was told that everything, yeah, they hold that, in the newsletter is true. Everything.
I'm sorry, you're 2 minutes.
Yeah, there! You were supposed to do that later. He's not. Anyway.
I'm gonna need a lawyer.
In this newsletter, did y'all see the second to the last page about that wonderful picture of Lanny Wexler taken by his BFF, Rick Hartman? Wasn't that nice? Newsletter's always the truth. Always. But in the middle, there's this thing in here that says he had 333 people at your convention? I counted them. It was 332. 332. But we're going to get to that in a second. Mr. and Mrs. Mitchell, I've got to tell you about your boy. This is tough stuff. Did you know, all these years, you've asked him to register you. You've called months in advance and said, John, my son, register me for that great convention coming up. Do you know what he does? He takes that information and hides it. And then he goes to the convention host and he calls him up a week before and he says, my mom and dad need to come to the convention. They're not registered. And by the way, do you have room for them? And how many do you have at your convention? He's searching for information. And when they say they've got 230, John goes, oh, Mom and Dad can go. But just a minute here. Well, yes, you did. You sure did. I've tolerated this for 14 years. Then suddenly, there's this convention in Wisconsin. See how bad Sonny is? He doesn't register you like he's supposed to, right? Doesn't register you. Then there's this Wisconsin convention. Steve, would you please get a chair over here with Roger? And Jim, get up here too. There's this Wisconsin, that's a good idea. In this Wisconsin convention, he calls Jim Sutton up. And he says to Jim Sutton, Jim, how many do you have? It's a Midwest convention, so John's a little worried here. And needless to say, he didn't register Mom and Dad, even though he told him he did. So last week, before he calls Jim up and says, how many do you have, Jim? How many? Jim goes, 327. Needless to say, at 327, maybe 10 are going to walk in the door. So now he can't put his mom and dad's application in. Because if he does, it'll put him over. And he'll lose that crown. And Kathy won't be able to go either. I mean, this is bad. You mess over your mom, your dad, and your wife. This is horrible. So, let me tell you the rest of the little story here. Did you know that John Mitchler, are my 2 minutes up? Did you know that John Mitchler said,
You're up 8 minutes ago.
you know what he does? Get over here and sit on Don's lap, honey. I'm twirling his hair. Twirling my baby's hair.
25 minutes.
So what does John do? He's obsessed with being the first person in the convention to register. Absolutely obsessed. That was a joke when they said Jim turned his registration in first, wasn't it, Jim? He's obsessed. This guy's gonna have his registration in so quick, I can't even get mine in. And I'm the convention coordinator. Wait, what is my new title, Don? The COC. They keep giving me these jobs.
It was going to be CQ, but that's what I blow up.
CQ, no, C4. It was going to be C4, but he thought I was going to blow up. Okay. Anyway, John, I hate to tell you this, but you gave Gary your registration, and I hadn't approved the form. So, here it comes, right back to you. And since you've used and abused your mom and dad for so many years, they are the first to register. I tell you, Don, I got more for your buddy than you can think of. So, John, I can't believe you lied about the number. I individually, eeny, meeny, miny, moed everybody in that room. I came up with 332 and your newsletter lied. And since there's a discrepancy, I, as an honest person, could never keep you throned. So I must hurt your feelings, and I must go through that coiffure that you just had put on. See, did you see him back off? And I think we're gonna do what should have been done a long time ago. And that's crown King Sutton. I'm not finished. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. That isn't all.
Is it true that John signed up for Ohio already?
I stopped that about 10 minutes ago. That isn't all. The second highest convention of all is the 246 people that showed up here. So we have, look at this. We have absolute Roger. What's his real name? Ram? Ram Roger. And Stardust Steve. Now, John, how does that make you feel? John, you were on the top of the world about half an hour ago, weren't you? Huh?
Don't stop yet.
Okay, honey. So I take good care of my board. Don't I, Tim? So, John, you've been dethroned. You are not the #1 registrant. Your mom and dad think you're a slouch. You're forbidden to check the numbers on the Mississippi Convention because I've already told Gary. You cannot call him for anything. And let me tell you why this all came about. First of all, I would never do anything to my sweet board members like Mark Comstock. Never. You
Why
see,
not?
because they're sweet and wonderful. And there was this thing that happened on a train at the Grand Canyon Railroad. And I am blaming you totally. He comes down the aisle and he says, Mickey, Don, let's kibitz about this little quiz that's going to happen. The quiz on the railroad had to do with high points, wouldn't you know it? And it had to do with newsletter items, wouldn't you know it? This man had his book, and he had the newsletters. So I just went along for the ride. Because I wanted to win, right? But guess what? I didn't hear them tell us we're not supposed to kibitz like John did. And he got me and my board lover down here, got us in trouble. Yes. Yeah. We had to sing Little Teacup. You know what the bad part was? He was really going at it. You must have taught him good. He can sing it. Don knew it too. I didn't have a clue. So, the moral of the story here is, don't mess with my board.
Thank you so much, Dickie. Your 2 minutes are up.
Rebuttals?